The monster was already about to evolve to Class 3. What's wrong with Earth? Ilhan advised her to ask God about it. The enraged Celestial screamed, "I can't come to a conclusion on my own!" The hero calmly repeated his advice. "I told you, ask God." "Then you just kept quiet. Why are you complaining now?" the boy inquired. Erta exclaimed, "I must maintain my reputation as a superior creature. How can I show my displeasure in front of a crowd of inferior creatures?" Ilhan replied, "Ah, all right. But you don't mind showing your displeasure in front of me?" The celestial woman asked, "Why are you so calm? This is your world's problem. You don't realize what a huge problem it is to have a third-grade monster appear in a world where people with first-grade skills live. The balance of power right now is dominated by the monster's side. For the moment, humans are becoming stronger in the other world, performing the ordinary tasks that God has set before them," Angel revealed. "But monsters evolve much faster. How can we adjust the balance?" Erta Ilhan asked. The hero replied, "I'm not calm, but I don't accomplish anything by mere worrying, so I just do what I can." The young man asked the angel how things were in other countries. The celestial replied, "Korea is the only country where monsters are on the verge of getting third class." "You," Ilhan said, "in that case, the destructive trap could be a problem." The expression on Eartha's face showed her stunned. She thought about the fact that the destructive trap might have strengthened the monsters. But that's impossible. Maybe that's what triggered it. Probably the monsters, feeling threatened, woke up and became aggressive, thought the celestial. Erta said, "In other worlds, monsters were shut down before they had time to suspect anything. For that reason, most of the monsters' evolution takes place in dungeons. Because of the endless interbreeding in the dungeons, there are more and more dangerous freaks that devour each other. Because of this, evolution in the dungeons is very slow," Angel explained. Yu Ilhan said in shock, "This is the real abode of demons. But if they aren't locked in dungeons, then they will evolve by eating humans instead of other monsters. Monsters don't fight each other often. That's why their growth is stunted in dungeons." Sunbolt said, "So dungeons are necessary for humans?" Erta replied, "Yes, that means you are of great benefit to humanity by creating trap dungeons." After hearing what he heard, the hero felt that he had to hurry and make as many destructive traps as possible. The hero sent another magic stone he received from Eartha to the fire. The celestial asked the young man, "Do you really like to create stuff?" The young man replied that it's fun, that's why he does it. "But there would be no point if that was the end of it. The reason I create things is to get new experiences," explained Sunbolt. This admission startled Eartha, for she had not thought of it before. Yu Ilhan had to live in an unchanged world for 1,000 years. The young man was left all alone on Earth for a long time. Angel tried to imagine exactly how the guy might have felt alone with his own thoughts. Celestia thought, "Now I see why he's so eager to have a new experience." "What was I just thinking? Did I really show sympathy for an inferior creature?" Stunned, Erta thought. The young man noticed that the angel was acting strangely. Meanwhile, the celestial thought to herself that this feeling new to her wasn't such a bad thing. The next moment she said, "You, Ilhan, get stronger. Then you can experience more things. Whenever and wherever you want." The young man replied that he knew it. Drops of sweat appeared on his face. He said as if to himself that he would definitely become even stronger. The hero worked diligently in his workshop all day. As night fell on the city, a light burned in the windows of the workshop. As darkness fell, the angels returned, having had time to recover their mana in the meantime. Finished with creating a variety of traps using mana crafting, the angels went to create a new dungeon. Ilhan's mind flashed. "I don't know what country the dungeon will be created in, but hopefully no more dangerous monsters will appear on the streets of their city. Even if a Class 3 monster appears because of the destructive traps, it won't be your fault. Right now, you're on an important mission," Erta said encouragingly after reading the hero's thoughts. The boy gratefully replied, "I know. Thanks for your concern." Angel was silent. She needed time to gather her thoughts. Ilhan went outside and stretched. He told the Sky Woman that he had managed to get tired. It's time for the hero to go home and get a good night's rest. Once in his own apartment, the young man immediately went to the bathtub to take a hot shower. The hero glanced in the mirror, his tiredness making his thoughts confused. The TV in the living room was humming about the killing of a Class 2 monster and the considerable destruction in the city. Coming out of the bath, Ilhan asked, "Erta, don't you think I've put on a little weight?" Angel inquired. "Just now realizing that? You grow every time you level up, so don't be surprised." The hero touched his face and said, "I feel like I've gotten better looking too." "What do you think?" Erta replied irritably. "Your face has no meaning to a supreme being like me, but to a human it might." Just as she said this, the young man began to brag about his own appearance. The beauty exclaimed irritably, throwing the chips at the guy. "You, Ilhan, don't block the TV and get dressed." The hero smiled and announced that he was going to bed. On his way out of the room, he advised Earthy, "You go to bed early too, don't watch too much TV." The packet of chips that Angel had thrown fell, and the chips scattered across the floor. The Celestial silently picked up her goodies. She chose not to comment on the hero's words in any way. Then, as the young man left the room, Erta said, "Such a body and face are nothing among the higher creatures." The Celestine believed that Yu-Ilhan's greatest significance was not on the outside, but on the inside. The angel's mind was a jumble of thoughts. She had lost control of her own emotions. If I say that, it will sound like I'm praising his inner qualities, Erta thought angrily. Lita popped up in her mind, thinking Ilhan was impressive. That memory irritated the Celestial even more. Angel heard the hero say in his sleep, "Lita, I miss." The night for the hero flashed by imperceptibly. He woke up with the first rays of the sun. As soon as the young man opened his eyes, he saw the window of his own accomplishments. He did not immediately realize that it was not an alarm clock. The system reported that the young man had reached his maximum level of rest. All performance indicators for that night had increased. Yu-Ilhan was stunned by the news that the rest skill even existed. It was at that moment that Erta flew into the room. Angel looked confused. She inquired, "When did you have time to learn a skill with SSS difficulty?" The hero replied with a question to a question. "Is it an SSS rank skill? Some kind of recreation? Are you kidding?" The Celestial couldn't understand how he had learned it, after all. She hadn't gotten around to it yet. The hero couldn't believe his own ears. Is Erta really talking seriously, and this skill is really incredible? Every night for the past 100 years, Ilhan has tried to find a way to sleep in the greatest comfort. Angel was stunned that the young man was studying sleep patterns with such persistence. "You learned a skill that is incredibly hard to get and even harder to pump. It's impressive. I'm really overwhelmed," Sky Girl honestly admitted. Ilhan wanted to know what the skill was for. Erta explained, "To sleep well and rest. What else is it for?" But the hero didn't believe her. He thought there was something the angel was not telling him. The young man exclaimed, "If that was the only plus, you wouldn't be so shocked." "Confess! Tell me the whole truth," the boy demanded. Erta replied, "I wasn't trying to hide it." The hero waited impatiently for an explanation from the Celestial woman. Angel put on her glasses. "It's time to tell you about the evolution of skills. Skill evolution is an achievement like skill acquisition, and the same rules apply there as when you move to the next class. And it offers new paths based on the user's lived experience. They're reminiscent of the paths of the Akasha Chronicles." The young man raised his hand, trying to get teacher Erta's attention. "Please explain all of this to me like a small child." Angel showed 2 pictures of the hero, one before and one after. "This is how after you get stronger through the evolution of a skill." The hero replied that it made sense to him now. "The skills you have satisfied the conditions for evolution. They are taijutsu, spear-wielding, rest, and stealth." Erta continued her explanation. "Machining and blacksmithing don't have next levels. In those, you have already achieved perfection," the Celestial added. "Stealth is a skill you don't know how to control, so it's not worth taking into account," Angel told me. "The requirements for evolution in taijutsu and spear-wielding are difficult to achieve at your level, so they should also be excluded. That's why I didn't tell you anything about the evolution of those skills." The assistant summarized. Ilhan asked, "I take it the skill of resting is different." Erta advised the guy to find out for himself. The young man decided that the system could help him with that. The hero was surprised to read, "Sleeping heart of a second-class monster. Now the points are 0, and you need 500. Troll blood 0 out of 500 liters. Good sleep 0 out of 100 hours, and third-class monster's magic stone 0, and need 1. Ilhan shouted, "What is this? How am I supposed to fulfill all this?" Erta calmly replied, "It's nothing compared to the other." Angel advised the guy to check the requirements for evolution and spear skills. The hero received the following information. He needs to kill the third-class monsters with 1 hit, then he can get the magic stone. If the requirements for the evolution of the spear skill are as hard for you as climbing Mount Everest, then the requirements for the resting skill is Mount Pictou. Ilhan shouted irritably, "That doesn't mean that climbing Pekta is easy at all." But the Celestial was confident that the young man could easily accomplish such a task. The hero wasn't about to calm down. "You constantly overestimate me. I can't even use mana, and I'm still only level 28. Erta thought, Yu-Ilhan's level increase is really too slow. Perhaps it's because of his title. The wall against mana is absolute. The difference between someone who can use mana and someone who can't is huge, concluded the Celestial. The reason why Yu-Ilhan is strong now is because of the martial arts he has perfected over 1,000 years, decided the beauty. If even one of his martial arts or characteristics is lacking, then other people can surpass Ilhan. But if he learns how to use mana, he'll be in charge over all the creatures from the Akasha Chronicles. Erta summarized her thoughts. That day will come without a doubt. What kind of revolution will he stage when he is stronger? Wondered the angel. Celestia took a deep exhale, trying to quiet her own thoughts. She decided it was best not to think about it. Erta watched Yu Ilhan yawn. She knew it was dangerous to get so attached to her ward. When the hero went into the kitchen, he found breakfast on the table and a note from his mom. Son, don't skip breakfast. You'll find the rest of your meals in the fridge. The young man asked the angel, So where am I supposed to find and kill trolls? Do they even exist on Earth? Erta replied, Once the mana is activated, monsters that have not lived here before will begin to appear. It will intensify, and creatures that didn't exist on Earth before will be left to live here. Ilhan said grudgingly, Are you used to the role of teacher? Angel said, I am perfectly fine explaining at your level. The next moment their attention was caught by an announcer's voice coming from the television. This is where the Class 2 monster attacked a few days ago. That event caused significant damage to the buildings, the reporter recounted. The hero immediately recognized the place shown in the report. There he fought 2 days ago and left the corpse of a huge leopard. The young man immediately noticed that the body had disappeared. Ilhan exclaimed, They removed it in just 2 days? Wow! After a little silence, Erta said, It's not what you think. At that moment, the TV presenter said, As you can see, the place where the dead body of the 2-class monster was lying is completely clean. It disappeared along with the people who shared the spoils. Sounded absolutely stunning news. Ilhan was amazed at what he heard. Some eyewitnesses say they were swallowed up by a dungeon that suddenly opened up. The hero spoke through clenched teeth. No, it can't be underground. The young man immediately realized that the humans had fallen prey to another monster that was hiding underground. Erta said, The huge leopard is definitely dead. We even took its mana stone. The hunt ends at this point 99.9% of the time. The guy wanted to know what about the 0.01% that was left. Angel held a finger up and explained, A pregnant monster. If the monster had a baby that was about to be born. Now the young man understood everything. It turns out the leopard was female and was pregnant. Only for a moment. But I saw a black leopard on the screen. Yu Ilhan spoke thoughtfully. A picture of a dark shadow against a backdrop of ruined buildings appeared in the hero's memory. This monster is a master of stealth. The young man muttered irritably. This wouldn't have happened if I had brought the processing to an end. The Celestial exclaimed, It's not your fault, but the consequences of those people's greed. But many people died. Among them were those who trusted and helped me, the boy said sadly. Erta thought confusedly, This is not what I expected. I didn't think he'd be so caught up in this. Angel was frustrated, for she realized that she still didn't understand her ward well. Ilhan said, Now I understand why the leopard was so rampaging until the moment of its death. He was doing that because he wanted to protect his cub, summarized the hero. Erta agreed with Ilhan's musings. It's my fault for not thinking about the possibility of this situation, especially if that kitten's skill is stealth. The hero continued to blame himself. I left half the body without treating it. Surely that leopard was hiding where the young man's hands had not reached. The celestial girl muttered, Yes, I couldn't spot it because of the stealth skill. Because people were arguing over who would take what. The leopard mother's body wasn't processed to the end. Angel figured those people spent a lot of time arguing, so the little one had time to be born. Erta said thoughtfully, What a marvelous coincidence. She tried to imagine what the kitten had seen when it came into the world. A small leopard cub saw its mother killed, and a crowd of people shouting at each other. The reporter continued to report the news from the scene. Ilhan said, I hope it's not true, but if it's as we assume, then a third-class monster has been born. Erta said, Considering how good his stealth skill is, he's definitely a Class 3 monster. The hero walked over and turned off the TV. They'd had enough of the news for this morning. The celestial woman asked the young man, Do you think you can do it? Yu Ilhan replied, It will be difficult to do it alone, but it's probably worth a try if I prepare well. The guy smiled and added, If the opponent is a stealth user, I can't afford to lose. Erta exclaimed, Wow! More expected from the master of stealth, Yu Ilhan. The hero irritably replied, Don't call me a master. He doesn't have any other skills as good as stealth, does he? The young man decided to inquire. The celestial replied, I think not. It's impossible to have excellent skills in all areas. If the stealth skill is good, then defense and strength shouldn't be as well developed. If you make up for it with stealth skill, then it's worth fighting him, Erta added. The young man replied, All right, I'll create a new outfit right away. Ilhan put on his sweatshirt and headed away from the apartment. I should kill him as soon as possible because he's going to do a lot of damage alone. The hero had no sooner reached the door than he remembered that he had better ask for help. The young man rummaged through his pockets and found the business card the Empress had left him. Erta asked in surprise, Are you going to use this phone? In that case, you can just make a public announcement that Sungbolt is you, Ilhan. The guy realized that the angel was right. This way his identity would be easily revealed, so it was better to use a payphone. The hero stepped out of the entryway and walked over to the phone booth. A business card with Can Meyer's phone number appeared in Ilhan's hand. Angel was sure that this girl would be able to help him, so going to the Empress was a good decision. The smartphone in Kang's room vibrated. The girl walked over and looked at the display. The Empress was surprised to see that she was receiving a call from a telephone booth. The phone was finally picked up on the other end. The young man heard a woman's voice. Ilhan said, "It's been a long time since we've been in touch. 2 days." Kang Mir didn't realize who she was talking to. The character was unhappy that he would have to spell out the nickname he got from supporters. "It's Sunbolt," stammered the boy. When the beautiful girl finally realized who she was talking to, she was overjoyed. "Mr. Sunbolt, hello, I didn't expect you to call me so soon," the Empress said in a friendly manner. The hero was a bit uncomfortable. Kang laughed. She realized the young man was uncomfortable with his nickname. Ilhan didn't answer. He asked himself, "Have you seen the news yet? This isn't a dungeon. It's a monster. A strong monster with a stealth skill," the young man emotionally added. Bell replied, "I think I can guess what happened there, and I realize it's very dangerous." When the conversation ended, the hero hung up the phone. The young man said to the angel, "Kang Mire quickly realized everything. She said she would tell the army and the government just in case. She has a lot of connections." Ilhan asked Erda for advice. "Perhaps in that case I should prepare myself too." Upon reaching his workshop, the young man set to work, determined to make use of the last of his loot. "The base is ready. Then I'll get right to work," said the hero with a smile. The celestial woman asked, "What will you craft? Your steel spear will do as a weapon." Sunbolt took the giant bone in his hands and said to Earthy, "Just look at it." Angel pulled the young man's hair irritably. "I asked you what you were going to master." The hero's answer stunned the Sky Woman. It was succinct. Pillars. Identical columns came out from under the guy's hammer one after another. "What are they for?" "Do you want to make some sort of necklace for the giant?" Erta inquired. The young man replied with a smile, "No. Go back to kindergarten and learn it again." The Celestine was beginning to lose patience, but Ilhan took his time explaining things to her. The boy took up the next bone, at which point it hit the beauty. She exclaimed that it was a spear, but again she didn't guess. The hero fashioned a weapon with a strange tip out of leopard bone. Erda couldn't believe her own eyes. If her ward had actually made a harpoon. Ilhan smiled, the angel finally guessing what such an interesting thing he was mastering. The guy explained, "A harpoon is very different from a regular spear. It is to be thrown at your prey to attract it to you. It's mostly used when hunting whales," Sunbolt expertly explained. "A harpoon is easy to stick but difficult to pull out of the victim's body. Normally, rope can't handle that role, so if I make a rope from the skin of a giant leopard, it will be strong enough," the young man added. Erda said admiringly, "You really are a master at this. Are you sure you didn't start using mana? Otherwise it would be impossible to do it so quickly." "Why would I build weapons if I knew how to use mana? I wouldn't waste any time and go straight to hunting," exclaimed the hero emotionally. At last everything was ready. A few harpoons, a strong rope of leopard skin, and poles. Erda said, "To use a mother's bones to kill her child. How cruel." But the hero paid no attention to her comment. A magic stone appeared in the young man's hand. It was his turn to use the craft mana. Angel exclaimed, "Wait! You're going to spend all of it on making just one weapon? Don't you think that's too much?" Ilhan replied, "It is for my own survival." Celestia looked disappointed, she thought. I assume that is his mindset. The hero held out his palm, which held a pink stone, towards the angel and said, "It's time to begin." Crafting mana made the hero's weapons interact with each other. After a moment, the system reported, an aggressive and violent leopard hunter's harpoon had been created. The mana crafting skill had reached level 12. Angel shouted, "Even the skill activation time is decreased. Mana crafting is usually not that easy. You can't go wrong." Meanwhile, the young man paid no attention to the celestial woman's warnings. He couldn't take his eyes off his harpoon. Wow, alpha and beta options again. The new weapon, mastered by Ilhan, received a unique class from the system with an attack power of 1050 points. The harpoon had options: 20% increase in critical strike probability and 20% increase in binding power. Thanks to the first-class skills of the artisan, a hunter's harpoon made from the bones and skin of a huge leopard is much stronger and more effective than a harpoon made from ordinary materials. Erda was amazed that this weapon had gotten top-of-the-line options. The hero proudly said, "The Akasha Chronicles understand everything. The options are really great. This weapon turned out much better than I had planned." Celestia rolled her eyes and thought, "At this point, it's cheating." The hero noticed the strange expression on Eartha's face and inquired, "Is something wrong?" After preparing himself, the young man called the Empress. He informed her that he would be there soon. At the end of the conversation, the guy said to Kang Mira, "Don't leave right now. The monster has a stealth skill. It might attack you from behind." He was born almost immediately after his mother died. "That was 2 days ago," explained the young man. The hero was sure that the leopard was still lurking in the very spot where his mother had been killed. The Empress was already sitting behind the wheel of the auto. She asked Songbolt, "Why do you think so?" "Probably to get revenge on the people who killed his mom," Ilhan suggested. "We must be especially careful, for it was we who killed the huge leopard," the boy added. The Empress said she was prepared for such a thing. After a bit of silence, Kanmiri inquired, "Do you have any plan?" The hero answered in the affirmative, but was in no hurry to share his details. "I'll make sure he can't use stealth, so wait for that moment," advised the young man. The Empress decided not to argue and leave it up to you, Ilhan. A little later, the guy got to the very spot where his fight with the giant leopard was taking place. Erda immediately sensed that the monster was somewhere nearby. "He doesn't seem to be frightened at all. How brave," said the hero. "He's probably just trusting his stealth. He hasn't noticed you yet," replied the Celestial. With a fair amount of swinging, the hero slammed the heavy pole into the pavement. "I wonder how long I can make him afraid," Songbolt asked as if to himself. He pulled the pole out of the ground and struck again. "I deliberately made a sound, but he's not attacking, and he should have attacked by now," thought the hero. Erda said, "I doubt he found you. It just means that your stealth skill is better than the leopard's. Your pillars and harpoon were also hidden by your skill," Angel explained. The hero asked, "He doesn't notice anything even though I'm setting a trap right in front of him?" The Celestial said, "You were indeed born to be an assassin. You should choose assassin as your subclass the next time you change your title. In any case, you have advantages in this situation. Don't miss this chance," Erta advised. It was after these words from the angel that the hero noticed something suspicious. The young man could make out a giant translucent paw with sharp claws right on the pavement. The leopard really didn't see the guy. He calmly walked by. Now was the moment to act. Ilhan was at the ready. The leopard's red eyes glowed in the twilight. The system informed the hero that his damage level had increased by 10% as a result of stealth and spear wielding. The young man thought, "That makes sense. Since the system mistakes harpoons for spears, I get the skill effect." Sunbolt decided not to hesitate, and the very next moment he attacked the leopard with his harpoon. The throw was very accurate. The weapon flew straight into the target. A second later, the sharp point of the harpoon entered the monster's body. The leopard roared loudly in pain. Ilhan said to Erti, "He's about half the size of his mother, but definitely third class. I got bonus effects from stealth and spear art, but the harpoon still only went in halfway," said the hero. Angel replied, "If this monster was replaced by an ordinary Class 3 monster, it would be even worse. Since it specializes in stealth, its health and defense should be reduced. Be glad he's only developed stealth," the Celestial advised. While they were talking, the leopard finally saw his opponent and didn't hesitate to rush to the attack. Erda managed to warn the boy of the danger in time. At the last moment, the young man managed to bounce away. "He's fast!" flashed through his mind. At a certain point, when the length of the rope ran out, the hero's harpoon prevented the leopard from moving forward. The creature froze in place, feeling a sharp pain and unable to move forward. The leopard made a few more attempts to move forward, but the rope of his mother's skin held firm. Ilhan stated, "The rope is holding up just fine." The hero lunged forward, snatching up a second harpoon. With a swing, he hurled it at the monster. A critical harpoon strike, a direct hit right into the leopard's shoulder. The young man was pleased with his hit, everything going according to plan. The guy in no way expected what would happen in a moment. Despite his considerable injuries, the leopard swung his paw and hit Ilhan. The blow was so powerful that it shattered the hero's protective armbands. A strong paw with sturdy claws threw Songbolt backwards. The young man was upset because his bone blades had broken. But the guy quickly pulled himself together. "Luckily, it wasn't my arms that broke, and I'll be able to fix my defense a little later." Erda thought. The ugly hedgehog protections on her arms did help, though. How unfortunate. Meanwhile, the leopard attacked again. He repeated the powerful strike with his strong paw. The hero barely had time to react, and that's what saved his life. Taking a breath, he asked the angel what it was. The Celestial replied, "It's a skill. What else is there?" Ilhan exclaimed, "Leopard definitely has a lot of trump cards up his sleeve if he wields a third class." The monster roared ravenously. He wanted revenge for the death of his mom. Although he was restrained by strong ropes, the leopard still did not give up trying to get his prey. The hero exclaimed, "Just look at this. If you resist, it will only hurt more." The leopard was not going to give up, its sharp teeth trying to tear the rope. Erta advised Ilhan, "Use the other harpoons before you choose the rope." In the young man's mind, "I didn't think he would have the skill to cut at long range. I used to think monsters were only very strong beasts," the hero pondered. "But now I have to face monsters that are far beyond common sense and logic." The boy realized how many dangers still lay ahead of him. Trying to get closer to the leopard with harpoon in hand, Sunbolt barely managed to avoid another attack from the enraged leopard. Swinging, the young man hit the monster with his weapon the first time. This time the harpoon hit the leopard's front paw. With a paw like that, he won't be able to use his long-range skill, the hero said. Erda called the young man talented. The hero put his left hand to his chest and said, "Call me Ishmael." But when he saw the angel's stunned face, he realized that Erda had heard nothing about Moby Dick. The Celestial exclaimed, "You relaxed too soon. The situation hasn't been resolved yet." At that moment, the hero heard his name being called, "Mr. Sunbolt." The boy looked back and saw that the leopard had disappeared. Erda said, "This monster is truly unrivaled in stealth skill." Meanwhile, a car was rapidly approaching the place where the hero was standing. The Empress leaned out of the window, holding something in her hand. Lightning danced around her. The next moment, the beauty put her hand forward. She attacked the invisible leopard with double lightning. Canmire hit the target, a powerful charge of current hitting the monster directly. It turned out that the leopard was standing right behind Ilhan's back. The beauty got out of the auto and asked with a smile, "How did you manage to catch that monster?" The hero squeezed out, "You're here, Miss Canmire?" He looked dumbfounded. Calming his own emotions, he added, "That's not what a man who just struck a monster with lightning should be asking." The young man thought, "This girl is definitely no ordinary hunter. The power of this attack is impressive for a first class." The hero didn't stop marveling at the Empress's skills. Suddenly, the guy felt some movement behind his back. The leopard was recovering from a double lightning strike. He was able to move his paw. The next moment, the leopard rose to its feet and roared predatorily. This fight isn't over yet. Now the superheroes will work as a team. Ilhan stuck the pole into the ground, no more delay. The young man prepared to attack the leopard again. Another harpoon hit the monster's body, now held back by 4 ropes. Another paw of the leopard was immobilized. "Attack him when you're ready. He's strong, so I don't know how long the pillars can hold out," Ilhan exclaimed. He asked the Empress, "When can you counterattack?" Canmire replied, "I can do it now by using lightning. I should be able to hit with more power in a few minutes," clarified the beauty. "Then warn me when you use a strong attack," Ilhan exclaimed. The leopard through pain tried to get rid of his restraints. The monster was trying to get closer to the enemies who destroyed his mom. Erda exclaimed, "He hasn't run out of mana yet." The hero realized this without her comment. The huge cat's red eyes looked directly at the object of his anger. "With that look, he informs me of his intention to destroy me. Such eyes I have met many times," thought the young man. The trapped beast becomes much stronger because of its desire to survive. The hero remembered his past hunts when he was alone on Earth. As strange as it may sound, it is at this moment that living creatures shine brightest. Ilhan remembered his past experience. It's as if the flame burns even stronger because the animal realizes that after this flame will come emptiness. Sunbolt's next attack came right at the leopard's head. The monster screamed loudly in unbearable pain. The creature quickly pulled itself together to try and answer its opponent. Angel was right, the leopard possessed mana. He aimed at Ilhan. The hero barely escaped danger. "Phew! What's that? It's really strong." The Celestial warned, "This is the bath of bleeding mineralization. Be careful, he's very evil." At this moment, the Empress was finally able to recover enough to repeat her attack. The lightning bolts hit their target, but this time they didn't do much damage to the leopard. Canmire's attack bounced off the monster's skin. The ricochet almost hit the car. "The lightning can't reach him. It'll be hard to get any closer to him," said the Empress. The leopard continued to resist. He did not give up trying to get rid of the restraints. Ilhan was amazed at the tenacity of this monster. "Do you want your paws ripped off?" Songbolt exclaimed hotly. "To paralyze him like before, I need to wait for the Empress to be ready." The young man had time to think. Dieting was urgently needed, so the guy pushed himself off the ground and jumped on Canmire's auto. Once on the roof of the car, the hero asked the beauty, "You wouldn't happen to have any stronger magical skills, would you?" The Empress remained silent, but her driver offered Ilhan a machine gun. The girl asked the hero, "Won't that be enough?" Sunbolt replied, "No, it's just something I've been thinking about, but now is not the time." Canmire asked the hero if he knew how to use a machine gun. Ilhan replied, "I know how to use most weapons on Earth." The hero jumped off the car and ran somewhere. The girl said to the driver, "I wouldn't believe it if someone else said that, but I don't think he's lying." Celestia asked, "Did you start hesitating because you were worried that the bullets would damage your skin?" The young man wondered how the angel had managed to know him so well. Erda replied, "Your thoughts are obvious. It'll be hard to use a taiju or spear against him now. I doubt a harpoon will help much." "Obviously the pillars won't last long," said the hero, approaching the leopard with his automatic rifle in hand. Suddenly, Ilhan heard a cry of warning of danger. The hero lifted his head up and saw a giant paw that was rapidly approaching him. The leopard pulled the pole. "The rope didn't break. I actually managed to make it very strong," the young man said to Earthy. Angel replied that this was no time for fun. The Empress sat in the car and watched the monster's behavior. Belle waited for her own strength to recover, a minute left before attacking again. Kang Mir exclaimed encouragingly, I need just a little more